Conversations are not battles. You will always struggle to connect with others if you think of conversations as battles to win. They aren't. They're opportunities to understand. And when you quiet your mind and truly listen to what the other person is saying, you'll quickly realize that most of us want the same things. We've talked about this in the podcast before. Security, happiness, success, love, respect, peace, justice. The difference isn't in what we want. The difference is in how we express it and how we think it can be achieved. Ask questions. Listen. Try to see things from their perspective. Look for common ground instead of differences. Focus on solutions instead of being right. You don't have to agree with everyone. In fact, you shouldn't. But when you start to approach conversations with curiosity, the outcome will be far greater.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. If this is your first time here, I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker. I am a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate. My world is in the Coachella Valley, which is basically Palm Springs to Indio. Hopefully you've heard of that. Palm Desert, Ranch Mirage, Cathedral City. There's just a bunch of places. If you've never heard of that before, get a map, look at Palm Springs, look at Indio, all the cities in between. That's basically the Coachella Valley. So we are all in a very cold desert weather. We're going to have a nice, cool 107 today.
Woo!
So it'd be nice. It's a little bit dry, but to tell you the truth, honest to God, for a lot of people that have never been out into the desert, like 107, how do you do it? This summer so far has been really good because we're having 107 days and like 70, 72 degree mornings, which I know that sounds warm to a lot of people, but that's like almost jacket weather right now for us desert rats. So it's been like a godsend summer so far because last year it was 115, 120, 125. It seemed like every day, and the lows of like 85, 90 every day. So this has been awesome. So anyway, that was a long drawn out story. To my left, possibly your right, co-host / host on this, Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated has been my good friend for almost 30 years. We are on episode number 108, but Brent Wright is located out in beautiful Eugene, Oregon. And we're going to get to the weather a little bit because, as Brent says, that's what old guys do, talk about this. But if you haven't seen this before, or if you have, just a reintroduction, Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. What is that? So Brent Wright has body shops, detail shops. He is a multiple property owner for rentals, payroll companies. Him and his wife, just about 2 years ago, started a wellness center, literally 500 feet away from where he is sitting right now. And then, which we just talked about, him and three other guys from a coaching group that they belong to called Arte Syndicate. Maybe some of you heard of that. Bought and revamping a t-shirt company called BustedTees.com. I keep wanting to go the other word, but I'm getting better. I practice every morning.
Good job, buddy.
How are you, dude? What is going on? We talked Friday, but then all of a sudden here we are on Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but here we are.
Yeah. And weather-wise, we're supposed to be, I think, 77 today.
That's a good temp out there.
Yeah. 58 last night at 10 o'clock, which was super cool. Beautiful sunset last night. Just amazing. I still feel extremely blessed to be able to see that sunset every single night from my vantage point. It's, it definitely feels fruitful every day to end up there at the end of the day. But yeah, we're supposed to be high 80s next week and include 190 degree day. So it's shifting quickly.
Yeah.
I always say that summer lasts about a month in Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
The real summer, the hot days and all those things. And so it's definitely tolerable. We will be going to our coast house over the 4th. We love to go there and watch the fireworks. They do them over the bay in Florence. Super fun.
That's good.
And so we'll be taking a little bit of time off, my kind of time off, not your kind of time off. So,
So
well,
you'll be working on 4 different businesses while your family sitting on the couch.
no. So we'll go down to the beach probably one day. The kids ride their bikes because again we live on a hill, so um, they don't ride bikes real well because you ride down like this and then you got to push it back up the same way. So
Yep.
they love to come to the shop and ride because we got a nice flat area. They love to go to the coast house. We do family walks a couple times a day typically. We eat well and we relax and just have a very subtle, relaxing time, not doing all the things that we normally do. So that's a vacation for me.
Well, that's a good vacation too, and it's what, you're 50 miles away from that.
Yeah,
All right.
50, 60 miles. Yeah.
So hour trip, maybe a little bit longer depending. But anyway, that's awesome. Well, it's good weather out there too. So let's just get into this, man. I mean, we had a great episode last week. We talked about the breakdown of communication and relationships. And then literally the next day you call me and you're like, dude, okay. And a lot of this has been happening. And so you talk about that. It's one thing that we really don't talk a lot about is communication and how necessary it is. And so last week, again, if we haven't watched episode number 107, we barely talked about just how to adjust, listening, all those different things. Just go back and watch that episode or listen to that episode, whatever your genre is. Remember, we are on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. So go back into those. Our links are out there. We'll put this in the bottom of our stuff. And you haven't done anything yet, whatever channel you listen to that, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. So when new episodes come out, we do that. Again, if this is your first time here, we don't do any advertising. We don't have any sponsors at this time. They may be coming. But at this time, you don't have to sit through commercials and listen to some different things going on there. We're just going to give you straight product of real life applications, what we're going through, what our friends have gone through, what our family has gone through. And we share that with you because we just feel that it's super important to know that if you're going through it, you're not the only one going through it. So anyway, Brent, you called me last week.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm about ready to blow my brains out. I'm probably not the best words for that, but
no. I'm struggling.
With you're struggling with communication because there's 4. You have your Gen X, your Gen Z, your millennial,
Gen Y.
So 4 different ways of people that grew up, 4 different types of communication, and you're running a business. You guys are getting along well, but you're still trying to find out how to all basically have this different communications, but have the same communications sometimes. So explain to you kind of what you were going through and how you're working through it. And let's talk that through.
Well, it's not only that. Let's start at the beginning. So the real problem is that there's so many ways to communicate nowadays. Let's start out with phone. Basic text, Ring Central, Slack, instant message on Facebook, instant message on Instagram, WhatsApp. For those iPhone people, iMessage. Got my first one of those a few months ago, and it doesn't translate well into Android at all.
Right.
And had somebody get pissed off that I wasn't responding. It came over as gibberish. I had no way of knowing.
Right.
I have a friend of mine who is out in the Atlantic right now on his sailboat, and when he messages me, I didn't know he was sending it on WhatsApp. I'm not even logged into WhatsApp.
Yeah.
How might have I known that?
Right.
I have no clue. The biggest thing that I'm having trouble with communication is not knowing the rules of the game, so therefore I fail at playing the game.
Mhm.
And so we'll get into some of that, but ultimately I think the struggle is trying to discern which channels of communication are we using. There's no universal channel.
Mhm.
Teams meetings, I have Zoom, I have Teams chat, I
Mhm.
have Zoom chat. And now on Teams and Zoom, you can comment and send a chat after the meeting's over.
Mhm.
Well, unless I'm logged into that application 100% of the time, how am I to know that?
Mhm.
And then what's the expectation for response time? Is it standard 1 hour business? Is it 24 hours? Is it 2 minutes? Again, I'm not struggling with communication. I'm struggling with the rules of engagement that are assumed instead of communicated.
So let's stop there for a second because you said a comment last week. You said you have to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
And so we're bringing this up is this is actually, I know your people are like, well, that's easy. Just do one or another. It's not that easy because the way that Brent and I grew up, we had a phone connected to a connected to the
On a
wall
wall.
on a wall. Sometime, so if you were in the upper echelon of life, you had a 25-foot cord that you could walk into another room with it
Mm-hmm.
and maybe stretch it another 5 feet. But with that being said, but that was the way that you communicated, or you met, or somehow, some way you knew you're going to meet up at point A or point B. But Brent just rattled off all these different ways of communication from iChat to Slack, which Ken McCumber and I just talked about this morning when we were on our walk, or not on a walk, but on a hike. And um, the you realistically, what I am hearing from you and what Ken and I talked about this morning is when you get into these group organizations, and I have the same way here. I have uh, we have David and I who are on the same team, and we have two other agents, and David and I's communication works really well, but it doesn't spill over to the communication with the other two agents in here. So I'm learning. I'm sending texts and no one's responding. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So I send it. Then I send an email. Then some people will respond and the other people don't respond. I'm like, okay, what's going on? So finally, we're just trying to figure that out. But bottom line is, you have to come into what I'm going to suggest, and what Brent's probably going to suggest as well, is that when you get into these groups, what type of form of communication works best for you? So you have to communicate which way is the best way to communicate, so we can make sure that we're on the same page. Uh,
Oh, and I'll throw this in. So not only email, right? But
yeah,
now every email platform has a message board built inside of it.
I did not know that.
So now you can react and
Yeah,
respond.
yeah,
So, like in Google, you can
yeah.
actually like or thumbs up or sad face or some other emoji or emoticon on a Google email
I
or
think we have.
on an Outlook email.
I think I just got one of those yesterday. I'm like, what is this?
Right? Like how many we
And
mm,
I'm pretty savvy too, right? Like I'll try stuff out.
I
I've
thought I was.
Yeah, we tried Microsoft Teams for a little bit. And nothing against Microsoft Teams, and I'm sure that works. And I really liked it because uh, you basically have a virtual file cabinet that you can put documents in and do all these different things. But then there's like, okay, am I going to use Microsoft Teams, or am I going to use text, or am I going to call, or am I going to write an email? And I'm like, there's just so many different options.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, that's the biggest thing what Brent is trying to say here is I think and this is going to be mostly business, because we talked about personal relationships last week, is setting down like, okay, what is going to be our communication channel, and get all the suggestions out there and find the very best one for whatever that's going to be. Because, and even with you have clients, which way do you like to communicate? Do you like emails? Do you like text? Do you like phone calls? Now, the older generation is going to like the more seasoned generation is going to like phone calls, or unless they're really savvy with emails.
I have an 89-year-old customer who tries to text our landline all the time because he doesn't understand that they're still landlines.
Yeah. Right. And so you just,
Oh, and now our VoIP place, two different VoIP places now allow text. And so the AI then allows them to text it and then sends it to you in a text on email that you can reply to, and then it texts them back.
I,
My mind, man, it's just like,
yeah. And this is where the frustration comes down to. So I sent Brent last week after he was talking. We were talking about this and trying to work through it, and Brent is doing his. If you don't know Brent, there's 107 other episodes that kind of peel back a little bit of the onion on Brent. It's much deeper than that, but Brent is very categorized. It's in this box, and in this box, and in this box, and this box,
and regimented as well.
Regimented. So when you take him out, which a lot of us are that way, when you take us out of that zone, which we're very, very good at, adjustments can be hard. But the great thing that Brent and I are learning, and I'm sure that some of you are watching or have seen over the last couple of episodes, we're also evolving. So like, okay, yes, we need to get better at this. So we can't just say, well, this is the way I am, which we talked about a couple of episodes, like it or like it. And if you don't like it, then kick rocks. So like, okay, we have this issue with communication. I'm going to try to adjust, and I'm trying to explain away. But in the same senses, when you're trying to explain to the other people of how that you're trying to adjust on this form of communication, you have to, the person that, so Brent's basically telling me, Blair, hey, I'm not really used to this type of communication. Excuse me why I get through this part, but whatever. I have to turn and say, okay, what part are you having a hard time with? And where are you getting hung up with? Well, I'm doing this, this. So eventually that he's saying, I need help, which is not easy for a lot of type A personalities. I need help trying to understand how to best communicate with you. So don't get frustrated when I come to you or make me feel stupid, because then I'm just going to shut the F down.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
And then we're done, which is actually detrimental to potentially a really good relationship.
To every piece of it.
For every part of it. It's a ripple effect that spreads not only to that person that you're talking to, but to the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, we found that this episode is going to be so big. So if you're still in the corporate world or in the tail end of it, you do have, everyone's got, like, the younger generation is very used to having instantaneous, boom, I'm messaging you, we're going. Where Brent will get an email. Okay, I'm going to read this over. I'm going to digest it for maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe 24 hours, whatever it is. And then I'm going to respond to you. That doesn't work with a millennial group or a younger generation, because they have been.
It's an 8-second society.
It's just like, we got to have this now and go. Mm-hmm. And so that's just, another part of that, why these apps are like giving you instantaneous information. I can pull this stuff to it, pull it over. And then that was one thing we were talking about with McCumber this morning. He's like, I don't work that way. And I'm super, super uncomfortable of trying to figure this out. And it's frustration because it takes me out of my rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him that's what we're going to talk about today. So here we are. Now that we've basically drawn out this long part of it, how has, since Friday, has anything changed with you with understanding or communication skills with the hurdles that you faced on Friday?
Yeah, I'm understanding that it's FUBAR and I don't understand it and I don't do well with it. And I'm ready, willing, and able to grow. But again, I need the rules of the game explained to me. And the problem is we just identified 22, 23 different ways to communicate. And each one of them has their own lane of what is appropriate or expected. And then you have each genre or generational thing, which we'll go into in a second, that has a different expectation on what something means. Mm-hmm. Right? And so in that regard, Um, I didn't know this. Facebook Messenger, when everybody's in a group Facebook message,
Uh-huh.
what is the thumbs up thing? What does that mean to you?
Cool. Good job.
Cool. Or I'm acknowledging you,
Yeah.
or
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
or thank
Okay.
you, got it. Yeah,
Right.
quick response, right?
Right.
All in, good, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means to a Gen Y?
No.
You didn't have the time of day to take the time to respond to me in an appropriate way. And basically, you're just telling me to F off and my time is not worth anything. So, why am I going to message you again after this? Did you know that?
No. Because I thumbs up a lot of people. Got it.
Right.
Cool, man.
That's like ending the conversation and we're done
Yeah.
to a Gen Z. A Gen Z is like, we're done talking. As soon as somebody does a thumbs up, that whole group shuts off. We're done talking. That's the end of the conversation. A thumbs up is the end of the conversation to a Gen Z.
And,
Gen
it,
Y,
and it, well, hold on. It's the end of a conversation in a good way or a bad way, or
it's
both.
new. It's just neutral. It's the end of the conversation. It's I'm done talking and I don't want to
Okay.
talk anymore. So thumbs up.
Okay. Okay. I get it. Okay.
Right? How did you know that rule?
No, dude. I'm just.
Either one of those rules. Did you know those?
Well, I mean, usually when I get like somebody says something, I give a thumbs up, like, yeah, I got it, and then we'll continue the conversation later, or whatever. Or yeah, I mean,
Hmm. To somebody in the 32 to 42-year-old range, that means the conversation's over.
huh.
From the 20s to the 30s, that means pound sand. You didn't take the time to acknowledge me in an appropriate way.
So maybe as I sit here and think about this, and I'm going through the stuff um, that I go through here at the office, and there's different communication spots like this, and then all of us have talks of like, okay, we want to accomplish this, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. And they're like, do you want me to send the email? Do you want me to do this? I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. So what I'm saying is maybe if you're in a professional group, or you're in a board meeting, or on a board, or you're in a business like Brent's talking about, you have one person that communicates to the group, and everything funnels to that person, basically a PR person, a public relations for that group. Because what I found is that instead of having, you're trying to meld different chats, and to get it to one point. So like I'm gathering all this information, which we need to take back to our managing broker. And instead of having four different people respond to one email, it's all coming from me in a summarization. And then when I get the information back, then I put it out to, this is what's happening. We're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever.
But to certain generations, that could be that you're controlling and manipulating the situation and expecting a response when they might not be ready to respond.
Yes, but yes, I agree with that. So, but the step that I missed out is we have to have that communication. Okay, what are you going to be responsible for in this group?
But the agreements change. That's the funny part.
Fair.
So the agreement and the communication style is a moving target. It's a swinging pendulum that you're trying to aim for.
Mm-hmm.
And we know on a pendulum style
Mm-hmm.
target, you're only going to hit 50, 60% of the time on average.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other 40% of the time, they're just pissed off at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that vibe a little bit for what I do, because I'm taking, no one did anything, and all of a sudden I flip tables over, and I'm pressing, and I feel there's a little bit of undertone animosity, like, oh, he's just trying to control an issue. So I feel it, but here's the wrong side. I need to address it because I feel it, and it's fine. I understand everything was a lot different 4 months ago to what it is today, the way how we're approaching things, and not just staying status quo. I need to have the balls enough to go back and like, okay, I've kind of taken the lead on a lot of stuff. Am I offending anybody in any ways? Can I communicate with you better in any way? I'm not trying to be the bull in the china shop. I'm trying to get some stuff done, but are you comfortable with the way that I'm handling? And if I do need to make adjustments, again, right, what I'm telling you right now, everyone, this is this is an epiphany that just came to my mind. So it's not something I thought about. Do I need to make any adjustments to make sure that you feel more included or less included in these conversations that we have moving forward? Now, I need to. Some people are very passive and like, oh, no, you're fine, whatever it takes. But you're going to have to address that multiple times because they may say that once or don't know how to communicate that it is bothering them, or, you know what, I'm just not going to ruffle the feathers. I'm just going to do whatever. And then they still get pissed off about it. And later on down the road, it gets to a point and it boils over and they react the wrong way, or they say something to you like, I've asked you 1,000 times if I bothered you, you haven't said anything for 6 months or a year, and now all of a sudden the same thing I've been doing every day, now it bothers you. Well, I didn't know how to communicate it back then. So just because you say it once doesn't mean you can't go back and say it again, right? But that's the truth though, yeah?
Yeah. So the hard part that I'm having is not only is it a moving target on a regular and continual basis, it's even more problematic than that. That it is proposed that I'm the one who needs to change. That everyone who is communicating with me is doing everything the way they need to do it, but I need to change the way I'm communicating to them. Now, there's an age old saying the person receiving the information is always correct. So, if you take that age old saying and apply it to the situation, I do need to be the adaptable one and figure out a way to communicate to them. I'm just having such a struggle because there's so many different ways and so many different players in the ways and so many, like, I use a saying, explain it to me like a 92-year-old woman who knows nothing about what you're telling me. I had somebody tell me this week that was offensive, and that did not create a safe place for them to think about how to deliver that message to me.
I get frustrated when I hear that stuff, dude.
What in the heck was that about?
This is going to totally come off the wrong way. But stop being freaking soft, dude. Not, and whoever, it's the whole society is like, that's offensive or da-da-da-da. Grow some effing ovaries or grow some balls and stop being offended by everything. It's a learning experience. It's like this safe word. It's like, get a coloring book. That's offensive. I'm sorry I didn't use the right words to it. I didn't mean anything derogatory about it. I can't be politically correct every single time that I speak. I'm trying to paint a picture of what when Brent says what he says. Yes, I understand that. Actually, I don't understand. If you're saying it's offensive to you, why in the world would that be offensive? He's trying to paint a picture of someone that doesn't understand.
I use analogies and acronyms to try to convey a message, right? More analogy type stuff.
But it puts a picture in somebody's head, though, right? But it puts a picture in somebody's head. A 92-year-old person is typically not technology savvy, regardless of your background of being computers and stuff like that. There's different types of technology along the way. Mm-hmm. So if your grandma is coming up to you and don't understand it, are you going to be an asshole about it? Or are you going to teach her how to do it? Mm-hmm. Or show her how to do it and by step. If you have a 75-year-old dad who doesn't understand that stuff and he's old school, are you going to be a jerk off about it? Or are you going to go ahead and say no? I mean, probably going to make fun of them. Like, oh, I can't believe you don't know how to do that. But at least you're going to show them how to do it. Mm-hmm. So don't take offense when someone says, explain it to me like I'm a 75-year-old man or a 92-year-old grandma or whatever to it. maybe throw some jabs at it and have some fun with it. But in the same sense, be offensive, be offended by it. Come on, dude, chick, whatever, grow up.
So you,
I'm tired of this softness of this. Oh, I'm offended.
well, you said something last week and this week. It's if you push me to a point that I feel like I can't produce a result, I'm just going to shut down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I said that last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I was told, seriously, you're going to go there? So you're just going to check out because it's not comfortable for you. No, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
What I said was is I've tried 2 or 3 different ways to produce a result, and it's not been fruitful. Likely our interactions might not be fruitful going forward, so I'm just going to avoid the interactions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we said last week, that probably wasn't the best way to go, to check out, right? Because you got to
100%.
try to be everything to everyone. But at what point, at what impasse is it that you decide that my energy is more fruitful, focused somewhere else?
I think Blair 3 years ago.
Peace out, Ninja.
And I was just talking to with this lady that I collaborate with, Shelly Gordon from Gordon Property Management, and she takes care of all of our. She brings us in investors. She handles the property management side. I handle the real estate side, and we were talking about communication and how it's how this podcast has helped me evolve, because years ago I'm like, this is who I am. We've talked about this 1,000 times in these podcasts. This is who I am. Like it, or like it. I know I said that at the beginning of the show.
And kick rocks.
And kick rocks. And now we're sitting here when we talk about this stuff. One of the things that, again, if this is your first episode, second episode, fourth episode, or you followed us all 107 episodes up to this point, what you constantly hear us say is, this has forced us to be accountable to ourselves, to not saying you should do this. Yes, you should do this. But now this is us looking ourselves in the mirror like, shit, now I have to hold myself accountable and become better. So we're constantly evolving. Now, one thing is, if you watch this episode, or, you're doing these things that we're telling you to do, and a person that you're around pushes back on it, you have to let them know, again, evolvement of speech. I am going through these changes and I'm trying to figure out how this works, because 45, 50, 60 years of my life, I haven't known how to do this. So I understand it may be weird way of a new communication from me. And I'm using the example, if you're talking to somebody else, or your spouse, or your business partner, or a millennial, or whatever is into it. But I'm learning how to, I'm constantly evolving, and this realm that I'm in right now is completely new to me. And it's going to take a little bit of time to get out there. But what Brent said, if you go ahead and make me feel like an ass about it, I'm going to get triggered, and I'm going to turn my 98-degree temperature down to 65, and I'm out. And I will go chase somebody else that will give me a little bit of time a day, and that relationship, which will be more fruitful than this one. That's the easy way. That's the easy way, and that's what we've come to as a society. And this is really what we talked about last week, which spills into this week, is that's the easy way. Well, I will go find somebody that will relate to me a little bit better, instead of like talking through the hurdle, which is very hard for guys. I get that. Women do it a lot better than guys do, and they're better at communication than guys. I get it. But that is the hard part, that what Brent and I are telling you about is, like, we're evolving. We don't like to be failures at stuff. We know that we will fail, but when our failures is going to become successes. So we're going to work it through it. But when we're asking for help, even though it doesn't make sense to you, treat us like a 78-year-old man, an 85-year-old man, a 105-year-old man that's never seen technology, or woman that's never seen the technology before in their life or been in that situation before, and explain this to us how it's worked. Because I promise you, guys like Brent, guys like me, once we figure it out, we will elevate to where you are now to a higher elevation.
Yeah.
I promise you that, because that's the way our brains work. Like, oh, I get it. Now I can take all the stuff that I've learned over 56 years or 50 something years, and I'm going to take that old wisdom, I'm going to apply it to this new wisdom, and now I'm going to elevate your wisdom to another level. Right? For the most part. It's just, I was talking about for your golf heads out there. Brent is going to be out in this conversation.
Check it out.
Check it out. He's out. But my golf swing goes sideways, and I'm trying to figure it out. I go back to my golf pro here, the club. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And he'll go down, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm on the driving range. I can't figure it out. And he's like, okay, he throws 10 balls down me. He goes, okay, hit these 10 balls, which literally takes me, dude, 2 minutes. He goes, okay, do this, this, and this. Okay. Okay, now hit this ball exactly where I want to go. And I use that analogy because when you talk to somebody that has wisdom and you get stuck, it's just a little tweak of stuff to help you get better. Now, in the same sense, that golf pro that just helped me is going to just take my situation and apply that to somebody else's situation that's having the same situation that I did. And it helped him get smarter. And that's why we have to have this concept. You're always going to have the wise one in a certain situation that's going to be smarter in certain senses. But if you combine that wisdom, everyone in wisdom grows.
And another thing too that's super important to me, I don't know where this lands with you, but if I make a decision to try to grow in an area and I become extremely vulnerable and start talking through that discussion, and you either don't acknowledge it or make fun of it, that is going to lay a very difficult foundation for us to build off of. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say I'll give up. I don't want to say I'll tell you to kick rocks. I have done both of those in the past. Mm-hmm. But what I can say is that there are only so many times that I'm going to continue to try before I'm going to try to find a fruitful scenario somewhere else. And I don't think that that's wrong. If you only give one try, that's weak. If you only give 2 tries, probably not giving it enough. If you give it 3 tries and it still isn't fruitful, and then you have a conversation about it, and then it becomes not fruitful after that, I think it's okay to adjust. What are your thoughts?
Depending on what situations you're in. I think that there's certain friendships and certain relationships that are more personal that that's okay with. I think that there's business relationships that are okay with. Your belief, my belief with marriage, it's a whole different realm to me. That is a covenant. That is a contract between God and me and that person that I'm married to. So I think that even if it happens 50 times that you're not communicating with, you still have to fight through that and get through that point. As Jesus said, forgive or 7 times 70, which bottom line is, so there's certain situations. I think that is not a black and white answer in my realm.
Yeah.
I think that there's certain situations that, this communication is no longer going down the path that we need to. That's business. A marriage or a personal relationship that's been giving you fruit, if you may, for a long time. I think that is something down to the point that you've got to figure it out. You've got to get your Bactine and Band-Aids out and know that you're going to go through war and there's going to be some blood and some tears and some sweat, but at the end of the day, it's worth the squeeze, right? The juice is worth the squeeze.
Kind of goes back to the communication part,
Mm-hmm.
letting somebody know that this is going to be war
Mm-hmm.
and this might not be easy, but I'm willing to dig in. It's a commitment level. And I think that a lot of times nowadays, people's commitment level is about as long as their attention span.
It's, yes. And also, it's a massive, and this is what I was telling to Shelley Gordon yesterday. It's like guys become very complacent because that's how they grew up with, or that's what they've witnessed on reality TV. And, it's me, 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 me. And, da, da, da.
It's Al Bundy.
It's all, yeah. I'm trying to find the thing that you sent to me yesterday from Frisella.
It's on email.
It's on email.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, dude. I'm gonna cut out this.
I got it.
Okay.
Can I read it?
Yeah, do it.
Conversations are not battles. You will always struggle to connect with others if you think of conversations as battles to win. They aren't. They're opportunities to understand. And when you quiet your mind and truly listen to what the other person is saying, you'll quickly realize that most of us want the same things. We've talked about this in the podcast before. Mm-hmm. Security, happiness, success, love, respect, peace, justice. The difference isn't in what we want. The difference is in how we express it and how we think it can be achieved. Ask questions. Listen. Try to see things from their perspective. Look for common ground instead of differences. Focus on solutions instead of being right. You don't have to agree with everyone. In fact, you shouldn't. But when you start to approach conversations with curiosity, the outcome will be far greater.
And that is a good summary of what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Ask questions, listen, try to adjust, do those different things. But it's a two-way street. There are every conversation has a yin and yang, and it's constantly switching who's going to be the yin and who's going to be the yang.
Yep.
Ask questions, listen, answer, listen, adjust, doing this stuff. And it all goes back to, that's what I would say is that when you said something and we posted this as a clip that you've got to be everything to everybody, and somebody told me like that's impossible. It's not impossible. It just takes a lot of work to be that way. Because when you're to expand that, what you just said last week, you have to be everything to everybody. You have to understand what they're saying, so you can be that to that person, and they're going to have to be that person in any way. So Jesus, which we were supposed to be an example of, was everything to everybody. The sinners, the tax collectors, the prostitutes, the drunks, the blind, all those different things.
The rich, the poor, pick
the rich,
something,
the poor,
right?
Everything into it. And our faith is I need to be like him. He is my ultimate mentor. How do I be like him? Then we get into social media and everything that's thrown us maybe we call it 10-second Tom, right? Like I need this message right away, or I'm going to forget it. But it's constantly learning how other people work. And even though that Brent, we talked about how frustrated Brent was, or frustrated that Brent was in this communications, trying to adjust and trying to figure it out, and you're not coming to.
Well, it feels like I'm failing. That's the problem. I wasn't frustrated at the individual. I wasn't frustrated at the conversation. I wasn't frustrated at the group. I'm frustrated with myself because I feel like I'm failing. I feel like it's a game I'll never win. Have you ever played those board games and they're like 4.5 hours in and you're like, yeah, put it away. We're never going to win or lose.
Yeah.
I just felt debilitated,
Yeah.
mentally and emotionally debilitated. Like, I'm trying to adjust here, guys, as fast as I can, but the rules keep changing.
Yeah. So what we have told everybody how we feel when those things happen. If you're this younger generation or you have an employee, you've got to, like, hopefully this is a trigger that there has to be more communication on your side and trying to say, where is the disconnect? How can I help you? Because I need you to help us get better.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not helping you get better, we're gonna burn this thing down.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be good for anybody. And so when you have a business mindset or a person, again, you have somebody that obviously you connected with, like I worked with, is, my God, this dude's smarter. Oh my God, this girl's so smart. I can't wait to do stuff with it. But the stuff that I'm doing, they're not connecting with. I've got to figure that out, because that's what attracted you to that person or to that business in the first place, was the
Yep.
wisdom that alluded to them. They just and sooner or later, their wisdom is going to be better than yours. And sooner or later, their wisdom is going to be less than yours. And so that's what Brent said. It's constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone, I think the big thing for this week, or to try to get this, wrapping this up here a little bit, is stop being so knee jerky, stop being so reactionary. Know that everything is a process, and that process may be a day, it may be 30 seconds, it may be 30 years, but constantly invest, invest, invest. There is no quick thing to it. And as much as society wants to make believe is like instantaneous information, I could do this, I get that. Or you can just say, screw it, I'll let AI take over. And then everything that you worked for means nothing, because it'll
Yeah.
just go away and somebody else will take your place better. So this is a great way to go ahead and not only help yourself get better, but help other people's get better. Remember what Brent and I always say: engage, equip, empower. And that is both sides of every single business relationship and personal relationship and society relationship.
Yeah. I think it's human nature. Kind of going back to what I said about, I feel like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
When we feel like we're failing, we might become agitated,
Mm-hmm.
aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
um, backbiting. We might rebut pretty aggressively. It's just, it's human nature, and that's what we're fighting here, guys, on every aspect of this. It isn't. We came out of the womb. The first thing we wanted to do was communicate. What do all babies do as soon as they come out of the womb?
Yeah.
They
Cry.
they cry, they
Yeah.
scream,
Yeah.
right? They want somebody to pay attention to them, feed them, make them comfortable, because they just got ripped out of a really comfortable spot,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so the first thing we learn, the first day of our existence, we learn, out of the womb, we learn that life isn't fair. It's not going to treat us well all the time, and that we have to learn how to squeal a little bit to get what we need, and to figure out different, better, and more fruitful ways of communicating that benefit others, not just ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's sometimes I feel like we go too far, but I think that there's certain things that are triggers to it. I saw something today is like, I want my leader to go out and do something, but this person is all over social media. Instead of complaining about what your leader is not doing right now, why don't you go out and become that leader? And Brent's really good at this. I'm really good at this, is having servant leadership. When you came out of that womb, you were picked to be a leader because your DNA is different, your blood's different, your eyes are different, your hair is different. Everything about you is different from every single human that walks on this planet, and you're going to have a choice to be a leader or a backseat driver. Become a leader, become a servant leader, and there's plenty of top to have plenty of leaders on there, because with being a good leader, you're going to help the other leader become better, and it goes back that way. So that's why Brent said, too, it's a societal issue that we can sit there and complain through keyboard warriors or memes and stuff like this, and this person's stupid, and I can't believe they think that way. Well, maybe it's time for us to sit down with that person, figure out why do they think that way, understand who they were, and then communicate your thoughts. And I guarantee you there is a common thread in everyone's thought, and everybody wants the same thing. We just don't know how to communicate.
Everybody just wants to be heard and validated. The problem is there's so many ways to be heard and validated nowadays, and so many different perceived or acceptable ways to be heard and validated.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to decide which lane we're going to live in and stick with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, guys, this is what we need you to do this week. I'm pretty sure there's a golden nugget or two that are in there for you. What communication hurdles are you having right now, personal, business, societal, whatever that may be, that you're having, and how are you working through it? So leave that in comments, either YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, whatever there's a comment section, leave that comment in there. Facebook, Instagram, we don't care. What hurdles are you having communication wise, and how are you working through it? Leave those in the comments. And it's not for Brent and I, it's to start this revival of communication and figuring out how everyone has a common thread and working through some stuff. So if there's stuff that you don't understand, there's stuff your partner doesn't understand, whatever that is how that you're going to take that and work through it to make it better. That's what we need from you today, besides sharing the show and hitting like, but whatever. So,
by the way, I love that ding that comes on when I get that notification.
Right. You're the first person who watches it, man. I love it.
I'm like, hey,
we made her famous. So I think that you had final words, but do you have any more final words?
Man, just keep on. And I'm saying this to myself too, guys. Keep on keeping on. Keep trying. Keep putting it out there. It's tough. It sucks. It's not easy. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. They say it's lonely at the top. We've talked about that. It's not lonely at the top. Pull others up. Talk about it. Learn. Grow. Be kind. Be respectful. Teach others. Mm-hmm. I have learned so much from people half my age over the last month. Mm-hmm. It's not even funny. It's painful. It's painful. And I know I'm growing because of it.
Right.
Does it make me feel better? Does it take the frustration away? No. Does it make me feel less like a failure? Not at all. Keep going.
Yeah.
And go make a damn difference while you're doing it.
Amen. All right, guys. Have a great freaking week. We love you guys. Thank you for our support. Keep supporting those channels, whatever they are. I know that we keep pushing this, but it's because of you that we're on episode 108. So help us get to 109. The power of one more. But anyways, have a great week. If there's anything that you need, reach out to Brent, reach out to me. However, which way that we have to it, we're super easy to find. But go make, as I said, Brent, I think it's a big deal. It's time that we start getting out of this black cloud that seems to follow us every day through the big media, and start working together and learning how to communicate again the right way. So say it one more time. Have a great week. Stay safe, but most of all, God bless, guys, and we'll see you next week. Take care. God bless.